Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and welcome to what I'm calling the pilot edition of Shroud of the Avatar Roundtable. It's us fans here, and this is, should I say, not an official Shroud of the Avatar function. It's an unofficial Shroud of the Avatar function with fans, and so everyone is welcome to join us and talk about the game. We're live streaming on Twitch as well as here on Google Hangout. So if you want to join us on Google Hangout, you can. And then also welcome all of you who are watching this on YouTube. And there's a link in the description for how you can follow me on Google Plus and join us the next time we do this. And so it will be occasionally, I don't know, is this going to be like the Shroud of the Avatar? Shall we call it the Shroud of the Avatar random show? Sporadic show?
Random.
The random
Nobody
show.
knows what sporadic means.
So, okay, and so this is my buddy Fear. Fear, introduce yourself to everybody.
I'm Fear Battle Vortex. I was a big fan of Ultima Online for many, many years, and that's when Marquis and I met back in the old days.
I think you killed me or something in the game. I think that's probably how we
I
met.
was on Napa, though. I think you were on Baja.
I'm sure that we met on me on the sharp end of the sword.
Well, it could have been that way. I don't know, but so many people, so I can't remember them all. There's a lot of skulls in the old backpack.
Yeah.
Skull on a stick.
Skull on a stick. So.
They'll have that. So I'm basically a gamer, and I do audio programs similar to what Marky does, just in a different market. I focus more on a PvP type market, and that's where I'm at, kind of.
Yeah. So, and we decided that I think that we needed to do this because we are big fans of the of Ultima Online, which this is its spiritual successor.
Exactly.
So, I am looking up here. I wanted to look at the goals that they had. Did you know that they not only, let's see here, Drew, I'm muting you. This is going to be so sloppy, I have to say. So, not only did the pledges and everything on the Kickstarter campaign, the campaign when it was running, they hit 2 million, and so they got almost all of these extra goals that they had in there. But did you know that they're still taking some money? You can go to the website. You can still pledge on the website, which they're extended that for like a week, and they've already had in the last couple of days another additional $100,000 come in, wow. And so they're thinking that they may hit the stretch goal of $2.25 million.
Can you bump up your original?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Yes. So you can bump your original one there, and there is. It's just so amazing everything that is that's going to be done. So, Fear, what is it that you look at as what's the number one thing about this game that excites you?
Well, I like the Wild Wild West type gameplay. Back before they introduced trammel and certain things like that. I like the virtues, especially the dark virtues. We weren't as bad as some guilds, but we definitely liked to coerce the anti-PKs to come get us. That was one of our favorite things to do. Whether it was go to a dungeon, clear it out of humans, and then get them to go to town and call the anti-PKs to come save them, or
I was an anti-PK.
Yeah, we're good. That's probably where we met. You were trying to kill me.
Yeah.
Keep me from killing you. So
yeah.
No, and I'm hoping that the PvP aspect will be good. I know that I understand that they want to protect newbies and all that. We never cared about newbies. Some people like that, but I'm not. I'm not all about that. I like to actually help them so that later on I can kill them. You know, we need more targets. You know, so that's kind of what we do nowadays. We teach them how to play so that we can kill them.
More targets.
You got to have more cannon fodder. You know.
Yeah. Okay, so looks like we've got someone else joining us with us. You need headphones or your um, Tony. I muted you, Tony, because it's we're getting a lot of feedback from you. It's best if you have headphones on that you can throw on real quick. So
Yeah, I like the merchant stuff and things like that too. But I guess my main focus was mostly on survival and, you know, PKing, or, you know, not necessarily PKing, but fighting
mm-hmm.
in some format.
Yeah. So what I am. I don't know if you saw what they had on today. They had another dev chat on today, and in that dev chat they said that that they're a lot of the stuff that they're bringing back is a lot of the adventure. It's a lot of the romance of Ultima Online, and I never thought of, you know, now that I think about it, I've never thought of a game as romantic, but you know, if you had to think of a first love, you know, then you're like, okay, so this is it. You know, you kind of look for that feeling again, and you know, search for that, reminisce about that. So
that game that pioneered so many things that are like commonplace in games today.
mm-hmm.
You know, the socialization, the fear, the excitement, you know, just not knowing what's going to happen next. You know, the castle pops out and a bunch of monsters run out and kill you. You know, you just never knew what was going to happen. You know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was open. Anybody could kill you anytime if they could kill you. You know, it's not always, that didn't always work out so well, but you know,
Yeah.
it was an awesome. It's just an awesome game, and you know, just something I'll always remember.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, how about okay? So we've got several other people that have joined us here. Well, when you want to speak up and tell us what fascinates you about the game here? They're all bored already.
They don't. You muted most of them.
Well, you guys just got to unmute yourself. That's all you got to do.
Unmute yourself.
All right, I'm pretty excited about being involved in the development. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can. And when we see you, we're a little bit scared, but you know.
A little scary.
Well, I'm actually anti-PvP too. I'm kind of like you. I don't normally engage in PvP, but I like that thrill and excitement of possibly being attacked at any moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that they incorporate that again in this new game.
Okay, so they talked about that a little bit today, and what they said is that there's several different levels. Like if you're a shop owner, that the shopping district might be safe, or there might be a shopping district that isn't a safe area, but that there could be other districts that are not in safe areas. That PvP is optional. Like there'd be quests that you might have to go down into a dungeon that might be PvP, and the other people would be the other people would be able to attack you possibly, but at the same time that you don't have to go into that quest if you don't want to. And so if you don't join that quest, then there's no, you know, you're not going to be killed in there. They also talked about guilds being set to PvP, and so that guilds could PvP anywhere. And so you might even be at the marketplace and get ganked by a rival guild, which to me would be cool. So, okay, so Paris, what is it that draws you to this game?
Well, I played UO back around 99 to 2002 probably, and then off and on after that. And just the idea that this game could be similar to that, but with a lot more of the advanced features that are in today's games.
Mm-hmm. I go way back in it as well, and so you know what it's like to play UO. Hey, did you ever find any other game that was similar to UO or had that feel?
No, nothing even close to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we're very much spoiled with Ultima Online, and I hope to be spoiled again now. So, Drew, you've been pretty silent. How are you doing today?
Oh, great, thanks.
So,
Never really played,
go ahead.
I've never really played any of the Ultima games, 'cause I never really got a PC until about the year 2000. I
Mm-hmm.
remember like my older cousin always playing the Ultima games and telling me like they're great. And I hear this new games when I hear what it's about.
Yeah, so these games actually go way back, and I hadn't realized until the other day when I heard them talk in the last day of the Kickstarter funding that it actually is it's like 15 years since the last Ultima game came out, and that was Ultima Online, and we've been fiending for another Ultima style game for a long time. There is some other games out there that come, maybe halfway close to it, like Mortal Online, and Darkfall, and I think it's Worm is the other one, and all three of those take a lot of the classic elements of Ultima Online, the free form elements, so where you're not put into a box. I call it it's like in single player games. When I first played Grand Theft Auto for the first time, I was like, "Holy cow! You mean I can drive myself off a cliff if I want to?" and that was a whole new thing to me, the freedom of it, and that's the way it was in Ultima Online. Is because because it was just so much freedom to do anything. So let's see here. I'm hearing that everyone's mic is low except for mine. That's what they're saying in Twitch.
Oh, do you have on? I'll bet you that under your sound settings, you might have that 80. It might
It's
turn
fixed.
everybody else.
I
80.
fixed it. I hate that. Why does
I know.
Twitch, or why does not Twitch? It's XSplit.
Plus,
Why does XSplit get turned down whenever you
I don't
go
know. It only
online?
happens to me sometimes on Google, but
Skype?
sometimes
It happens.
on
It happens as well in Skype, and I got to remember that. In fact, I pulled it up there, but it looked like it was all the way at the top. But okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we go. So, okay. So if you'd like to join us, if you're watching this live, Dracatar has posted a link in chat, and in fact, here. Oh, there it is. We both posted it. Okay, and so all you got to do is have Google Plus, and you can join us. This is open to anyone. We just ask that you have some clean audio, like have headphones on or whatnot, because you get muted otherwise. But if you do get muted, just unmute yourself whenever you're ready to talk, and when you're done, mute yourself again. So, okay, looks like we've had a couple more people. Let's see here now. Let's see, Tony. How's it working on your end?
Hi, Marcus.
Okay, there we go.
It's going all right. I just wanted to jump on the chat and get clued into the gaming world a little bit. I've been kind of out of it for a while, and I try to keep tabs on it. Right now, I'm just playing Dust 514.
Oh, okay.
On the Eve first-person shooter, and I just wanted to check everything out.
So, do you have any experience with Ultima Online or any of the Ultimas?
No, I watched a few of the videos just a few days ago. Most of my MMO experience was in WoW. After starting a family, I just didn't have time for it, and I got kind of fed up with just the leveling aspect of it, which never really appealed to me. I was never a big dungeon person or a raider. And PvP was the only thing I really loved about the game. So since I couldn't keep up with it, I said, you know what, that's enough. Maybe I'll try doing a little real-time strategy, and now I'm just doing Dust 514 because it matches my lifestyle. You know, I can jump on, I can play about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then jump off. Because you know, I have kids, and the minute they're in the room, and everything goes down the toilet. Right.
Yeah. Well, one of the interesting things about the development of this game is that they've been listening to us quite immensely, and so you can take. Oh yeah. So Richard Garriott has joined us. He's down there making faces, listening. Yeah. So one of the things is that is that you have a voice right now in some of the development of the game, and so any of these games that you've played, even if you haven't played an Ultima game, if you have something that you're really passionate about and everything, you should speak up about it, because it's possible that something like that its feel or its influence or even it itself could be added to the game. And so,
well said.
Well, you know.
All right, then I need a video game that has nannies that go to my house.
Let's see. I'll put that in the queue. That'll be hard.
So, Richard, thanks for joining us. I didn't expect anyone would be here, but nice to see you here.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a few minutes late. I just I had another call I was finishing up, but indeed, yeah. But I'm here to listen, like you noticed, like you were pointing out. I think that's exactly right. You know, we do our own kind of presentations during the day when we have info dumps, so to speak. But while I'm be happy to answer any questions and thoughts here too, I'm also very interested to hear exactly the issues you guys want to talk about and the debate between you all. So because that's how we really can help us fine tune things. Like I popped in just right at the end of one that I know is near and dear to at least a good chunk of the audience's interest, which is PvP. It's also one of the most complex and tricky ones to get right, and has the biggest potential to both attract and turn off players. So I think we have a good plan for it, but it's completely untested. And so, maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but like you were saying, our goal is not only to listen to you guys as to what you're really looking for, but we're going to be in here testing it with all of you as soon as it is remotely possible. We're going to put it in your guys' hands so you can go, this works for the PKers, or it doesn't work for the PKers, and whether it works for the people who are just want to build a house and run a pub. We'll find the right balance, I think, but it definitely is a huge advantage to have this dialogue now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, now it gets into the foundation possibly, whereas later there's some things that are tricky to put on. That thatched roof doesn't work on a colonial house when you start with the colonial house.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So I do see in chat that someone wants to start a farmers union. How do you feel about unions in the game?
Well, if you mean basically a guild, then I'm all for it. But if you mean collective bargaining for crop prices, that would be more interesting.
No, for rights in the game. How we get to have the development done how we want it.
Okay, well,
that's a scary proposition. So, hey, we've had a few other people join us. Kevin, how are you today?
I'm doing quite well.
Yeah, so Kevin, where are you joining us from?
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, okay. And what kind of background do you have you ever played an Ultima game?
Personally, no.
No? And what attracted you to Shroud of the Avatar?
I just noticed this from your earlier video that you posted on YouTube, so I decided to come in and watch.
Okay. So, yeah, well, if you come up with any questions, do speak up.
No problem.
Let's see here. We've got Stephen Clark with us. I know Stephen. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Just coming checking on you guys.
Making sure that we're keeping things sane around here.
Pretty much.
No drinking on the job?
Oh, that's fine. You work at home. Drink all you want.
I don't have to drive home. So, yeah, how was that, Richard? Now, you guys had that 24-hour party, and which you did an amazing job. You raised like $500,000 in 24 hours, something like that.
Yep.
And you guys did it with shots.
Yes, and it was really funny because we were doing shots. We were planning on doing shots once every $100,000, which we thought, we're going to have a fine night of it. And it was Chris Roberts who actually called us up on the phone and said, Richard, you guys, if you want to make this lively for people, you got to do shots every $10,000.
Oh my goodness!
And I'm going, every $10,000. So there's just no way we would make the end of the Kickstarter with that. I said, look, but I see your point. We actually argued. I said, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. He said, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. And so finally we said, okay, $25,000. So that's what we went with. Mm-hmm. And even then we made a lot more money than I expected during that last 24 hours. So we were still drinking a lot. Yeah. So I'm actually shocked that as those of you who stayed up all night that night, I never took a nap. I mean, I was on camera except for the few trips to the bathroom that I made. I was either in the game room camera or on the presentation camera. I never took a break. And then at the end of that, I still couldn't go to sleep until late that night. And so I even had to go out and run 3 miles to burn off some of the energy from Kickstarter because it was such an event. I actually thought it was a blast. It was a lot of fun.
That must have been a big high.
Exactly.
Now, what did you think that what did you envision before you started the Kickstarter? Did you envision this kind of success, or was this kind of success even in your Shoot for the Moon plan, or did we reach that?
Oh, hard to answer honestly because it was such an unknown to go into. There's only about 4 Kickstarters a year that go over $1 million.
Oh, really?
And yeah, so we looked at that and went, okay, well, those are pretty long odds. So we were going, maybe we do, maybe we don't want to do this. But then we watched Chris Roberts go through it in the fall, and we said, well, there's at least one good indication that this could work, and it's from contemporary of mine, worked with us, same kind of revival of doing the games that passed, and his worked really, really well. So I thought, okay, well, maybe we'd be willing to try it. So we went down the process, and then also the Torment guys, another old good friends of ours, decided they were going to do one too, 2 days offset from ours. And so we were going like, oh, now it's going to go badly again because now we're competing with some good friends of ours for the open to invest money at that same moment. And so we were, we didn't know what to think. We kept our internal projections up and down, up and down. First day went so well, we thought, wow, we're going to go way past. But then of course you get in the middle doldrums of all Kickstarters, and then you start getting depressed, going like, oh, we thought everybody cared, but and we made the goal, but we honestly hoped to get to about where we had gotten at least. And so during the doldrums, we were like, oh, I have no idea if we're going to get up. It doesn't look like it's ever going to crawl up over $1 million at all. And but then as we started getting there those last weekend, the pop happened much better than we would have thought. Made it well past the mark we thought we'd be making. I actually thought if you'd asked me 72 hours prior where I'd guessed we'd end, I would have said 1.6 million is where I thought we'd probably wrap up. And so when we made it to 1.7, that was very exciting. I really didn't expect to get to 1.8. I really didn't. I thought, we all wanted it because we wanted to get that Tracy Hickman thing in there. That was a particular internally exciting milestone. So we were excited when we hit that. And then again, I didn't expect it even when we were an hour out. I thought we weren't going to make 2 million. And the fact that we shot past that as well was just phenomenal, and that got us. We had that dreamy $2.5 million Kickstarter for VRness, but which we really put out there as a wild, hypothetical future stretch goal. But I actually think that even now post Kickstarter and the Shroud of the Avatar direct sales. We've sold since Kickstarter closed another $100,000 in pre-sales.
I know. So what happens? What happens if you hit the 2.5?
So on Monday we're going to re-architect the whole tiers and everything to kind of move into a post-Kickstarter posture, but we're going to keep effectively those same stretch goals out there. There's no reason not to. So So I actually think if I had to guess, I'll bet we make the 2.5.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'm very excited for it because the more interest that there is right now for the game, the greater the chances of having a great game.
Right.
So
no, I think that's exactly right. And when the game finally ships, the most of the Ultimas, generally have sold 1 million copies or 5 million copies, or somewhere measured in millions. And so, even though we have 20,000 backers already, when we get a finished game, we should be able to do much more. But by bringing a lot of those people to the table now, means that we can count on it. Means we can actually invest it to creating those actual features. If we didn't do this with Kickstarter, we would limp along a much more lean budget, and so we would undershoot the target, if you know what I mean. We would be undershooting the feature set pretty much by the exact list of the stretch goals.
Yeah. So, well, I am just amazed at it, and happy to have. So by the time, let's see, it'd be, I don't know. You say December? Is that when you're projecting the alpha?
The alpha, I think we'll get it done this year. Yeah. So we're saying December just because it's the last month of the year. We're going to target obviously a couple months ahead of that. But hey, it's software development, so you never know. But what we're going to try to get the team on the discipline of doing now is every month I'm going to have the team building me a version that becomes my new demo version for as I go out and talk about it. But we'll also then start capturing footage out of it as much as possible to showcase to the team, all of you. I call you guys, but you guys are all the team now. Showcase to all of you as well, and then as soon as we can, I'm going to get some very little hacky prototypes of things that you guys can test. And for example, this is, by the way, I'm making this one up, so this is not a real one, but hypothetically, since I know PvP is going to be one of these things we need to massage a few times and get right, even if we had nothing but black and white block graphics that let people walk around and see how the slider could work for open multiplayer versus solo player online, and see who came into their same purview with them, and then see how the concept of this PvP strategy we have might unfold. Even if it had no graphics, I would love to get that into your guys' hands, because that way you can help us troubleshoot it conceptually as early as possible. So we're going to have to meter that with the how to make sure people don't think we're making something that's ugly. As I know you're well aware, the graphics were in the prototype are literally graphics we just bought online. So look at the concept sketches, not the graphics that are in the demo, the prototype. But we're going to have to fight that. So we're probably going to have to either show you guys things that have almost no graphics in them, so you don't confuse it with the real graphic target independently. So one part of the team is going to be trying to push the graphics as fast as they can. Another part of the team is going to be pushing, whether it's crafting systems are going to come on here pretty quickly, or the combat systems are going to come online pretty quickly. And so we may see a couple of types of demos come out to you guys to help us fine-tune one or the other.
Well, we could totally do it like in the style of Ultima 4, and they could be stick figures.
Exactly. I could draw those. I did draw those. But by the way, it is hilarious though. In this day and age, you think about how much struggle I'd put into just making the stick figures of Ultima 4, because I had to draw on graph paper, convert it to binary, convert that to hex, type in that hex, then write routines, copy that onto the screen, and you never knew where it went wrong. You contrast my really bad stick figure art of those days. You contrast that to, for example, the things that people just put up here the other day as their entrance into our 48-hour contest of kind of a promotional video, and it's stunning. The talent that exists now within the community is unbelievable.
Part of it, people have always been this talented. It's just that we're all connected now. Yeah. So I really think that's it. Hey, now we've got several other people with us here. Anybody else? Don't let me hog this.
Yeah. So, well, can we get as far as the PvP goes? Are we planning on? Are we planning on having different? What am I trying to say? Classes, or are we pretty much human? Kind of like how you? Pretty much everybody was just human.
And we put orc helms on if we wanted to be an orc.
Yeah, we could be an orc if we wanted, but
Well, so let me tell you my bias, but then again, I'm making this game for you. So if I can be overruled, so to speak, even as the creator, if there's a revolt, so to speak, to my proposal. But here's my initial proposal. The way I feel about it is that I'm trying to tell a story that to me, the best stories in role-playing games, or the best stories in fiction for that matter, are when the story holds a mirror up to you, and you find something about it that means something to you. And in a book that's a linear narrative, that Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, if you're familiar with this monomyth theory of storytelling, that usually is happening to the main character. And the main character, let's say, was Conan. Well, Conan was, of course, always tough, but due to his troubled upbringing, but he was morally ambiguous, and therefore not necessarily worthy to be the one to rise to save the world, basically, or defeat the big evil. But along his path, he gains the knowledge and wisdom and whatever other skill he needs to be able to accomplish that goal. Well, that's fine if you're the third-person observer of a story. But when you're the main actor of a story, I actually need to really hold a mirror up to the real you, not just the hypothetical you. Because if I write a story about how you are Conan, well, maybe you're not Conan. Maybe you don't believe like Conan believed. Unless you have the same failing that Conan had, I can't hold that mirror up to you. And so I like the story that starts with, you are you. You personally are a human who lives on the planet Earth. Okay. Now you find a gateway that takes you to this new world, through which you can change physically as much as you would like. I don't care if you're a dwarf-looking character or an elf-looking character, if you're tall, skinny, fat, whatever it is, but the soul, so to speak, of that character needs to be you. And then the game is going to work very hard to try to find out what internal, I use the word bigotry very loosely, what bias you come to this point in your life with, even if it's not a very big bias. But like in Ultima 7, the way I did that is the cover, the false prophet, shows you, the avatar, standing on the chest of a demonic-looking gargoyle, and we are all raised to believe that people with red leather skins and horns and wings must be evil. And especially if they're attacking me, now I know for sure they're evil. And so I set that up to play into the hypothetical bigotry that we all have to assume that red leathery people with horns are evil. And as the game plays out, you actually find out that, okay, no, actually they're intelligent and have families and other things, so if I wipe them out, I've committed a genocide, and that might be a bad thing. And so, that's good. And so this game, I want people to feel free to explore PvP. I want to provide people the ability to be as many roles as they want, and even, for that matter, it could be characters. But I still think of your essence as literally you, the human person from Earth. And I also don't want you, that's another thing that's driving me, I don't want you to have to start over a new character to, like, if I play a fighter for a month, but now I want to explore wizard, I don't want you to have to start a new character. Because I don't want you to think that that's no longer me. That, I have this character over here that's the nice me, and that character over there is the evil me.
I like that.
It's all you. I want it to, at least my bias is that it's always you.
What about combatants? As far as combatants are concerned, are they going to have to get jobs? I mean, do I have to be a tailor and go out and kill people, or can I make money just killing people?
You can make money just killing people.
That's awesome. I was going to say, shut up and take my money, but he already did.
Yeah, that part's the easier part. The harder thing for me to do is to make sure that the people who aren't willing to go out and kill people can still progress and find out about the story and do some things that are cool and interesting and relevant and feel the desire. Absolutely. I want those people to actually feel I want even the local tavern keeper to want to go out into the dangerous areas, to be endangered. And so that's the hard part, is how do I get the people who don't think they want to get into dangerous situations.
Yeah.
I want to push them out of their comfort zone and make them want to go into danger.
Right, encourage them to do that. I agree, because that was a lot of problem with the original concept, was people were so afraid to go outside the boundaries that, it was probably a big problem for you guys. It didn't bother me any, but, So I understand that.
Fear killed everything that walked.
If they came outside that little line, yeah, we that would be done.
That invisible city line?
Yeah, we love that. We love that.
Step one more pixel, please.
Yeah, they used to try to trick us to go over it, and we tried to trick them to come out. So that's how that worked.
Right, but in my mind, as long as the person knows that there's this cat and mouse game, then I think it's perfectly fine.
Right. It's when
Perfectly
they get caught off
fine.
guard. Yeah.
It's or even caught off. It's okay even to be caught off guard. I didn't even really mind it when people would put like a teleporter inside the bank that would teleport you from the safety of the town out to the woods where you get bashed, because you sort of already know about that. You know what I mean? You already know that it's dangerous outside and it should be safe inside. But the fact that somebody cleverly thought of a way to even get me when I thought I was in the safety of the bank, because you already had to run the gauntlet of bringing the gold from the dungeons all the way to the edge of the city, you're sort of already in that heightened sense of awareness of life is dangerous. And you just learned that the line of danger has moved a bit, but it's still okay. The only ones for me that it was not okay was for the people who were literally just beginning and had no idea what this world was about.
Yeah.
And another class of people, which are the people going like, you know what, I love seeing that going around me, but really the only thing I want to do in life is pour drinks at my tavern and grow my gardens out back, my flowers out back. And if somebody comes through and steps on my flowers, it's just not fun. If somebody burns down my house and steps on my flowers, I've never elected to go trade in gold. I've never elected to do any of those sort of things. And so I think there does need to be a place of safety for the brand new players and the role players who are just saying, you know, I'm not gonna play at all if you don't let me have a place of complete safety. And versus tell them, then this game is not for you. I think it's better to make sure there is a place for them in this game, and then give them encouragement, and show them why it will be fun for them to accept that level, higher levels of danger.
Well, don't let them talk to me then, because I can't convince them it's going to be fun.
That's because apparently you're one of the people that's ganking them all the time, so they see you as the threat.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's still fine. But together you can advise me on how to make it fun for them, and I'll send them over to you.
Well, I'll work on that now that I kind of understand where you're going with this. So.
You just got to teach them some swordsmanship skills.
That's right. That's I do that anyway.
But how about this? You know, but here's another way in my mind it would be fun. So imagine that you were like and I'm making this one up. This isn't a real example from the game. It's just to illustrate the feeling. You know, let's suppose the town is sort of like Stalag 16 or 13 or whatever that movie was, to where, you know, no rescue is coming from the outside, but you build a little tunnel that goes through and goes hypothetically past all the PvP gauntlet and, you know, goes to another city. Well, now you know if I go down to that tunnel, it's dark and it looks spooky and there might be some spiders, but you at least think there's not going to be any PvP people along the way. At least you hope so. You hope no one has discovered it, because if somebody discovers it, it's dangerous again. But that tunnel, at least for a period of time until it's discovered, appears safe. Well, now those people are going like, okay, I'm willing to leave my pub and I want to go to this other town, but I'm going through the Underground Railroad and that still feels a little bit spooky, but 90% of the time it's safe until it's not. And then once it's discovered, guess what? Everybody going through gets wiped out, and everybody has a good time because you discovered the tunnel, and it only hit them once, and then go back to their bar and they're fine again, and they didn't lose. They weren't being killed repeatedly as a beginner, but we encouraged them to take some danger, and the danger was actually fun for at least some period of time. But anyway, you get the idea. Is encouraging people to step outside of their comfort zone.
That's really cool. Well, when I started, I started outside. They didn't even let me look around the city. They dragged me out to a boat, and then they told me, keep hitting this button until you learn how to fight. And I was like, okay. That's how I started. So.
Excellent.
So, Tony, you got anything on your mind?
Yeah, I don't know if it was addressed, but what's the pay structure? Is it subscription based?
It is not. We actually, because of the new, because of the way we're going to build servers, which is sort of a distributed server network, we're not going to therefore have to pay a ton of money to keep our server infrastructure running, which is the classic reason why you need a subscription. And so we think that we're going to be okay financially just by basically saying there's a cost for the digital download. And there may be a time where, for example, for something that's big and persistent and costs us a lot of money to maintain on the servers, that there's also a fee associated with those, like a house or like the new episode that comes out.
So it's kind of like an in-game items that you charge for?
But it's we're trying to make sure that we don't get classified into the social game category where there will be a plethora of things to spend money on, and you can keep playing for free as long as you're either willing to continue giving us nickels or spamming your friends. That is not what we're doing. And so we're not doing a microtransaction game.
Okay.
So this is we're basically trying to sell this as we're just going to sell a handful of large ticket digital items like the game itself, primarily the game itself, and we don't think that we'll have to really charge for much of anything else because we've kept our server costs down by distributing it.
Okay, because a lot of times I hear free to play, and I always call that pay to compete. Because that's definitely the case in Dust 514, at least when you're kind of new and everybody has better gear, and you can buy their their digital currency and then start buying the better stuff, and you still have to level up, etc. But
yeah, and here's I think what I think would be what I'll call. I'm trying to get myself out of the habit of saying what I call. My team has noticed I say that all the time, so pardon me if I pause every time I use that phrase. But are you familiar with League of Legends?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think League of Legends what we're trying to do is make sure we describe things that we think and the players believe it's important that we agree is a fair handshake of value. And the nice thing about League of Legends is that they continue to create new character classes. Mm-hmm. None are more powerful, none are less powerful, but they're clearly putting work into it. They're doing work. They're often letting you taste it for free, but if you want to own that additional character class, they charge a fee for it. And the way we would look at that same thing, that metaphor to us says, look, we're going to spend the money we've already got plus the Kickstarter money making the game, which part of that game, by the way, will be melee combat, ranged combat, magic, and healing, we can call it magic, and a few things we made in our stretch goals. But it might not include, say, a dancer. I'm just making that one up. Well, if we then go and have a programmer go make a whole new character class and skill tree called Dancer, we might say, look, we'll put this stuff up live. Everybody can see it and happen. But if you want that new character class, hey, help us pay for the fact that we just put a bunch of money into this thing called Dancer. And so we might take things that are beyond the current Kickstarter goals and release new content that there might be a fee to acquire that content for you personally. But we're going to work it out with you guys. We're not going to try to rip anybody off or make people pay later for something they paid for today. We're going to just try to make sure that we don't intend to have any kind of subscription fee. We don't intend to have, generally speaking, microtransactions. But every time I come with a big content dump, if you want access to that big content dump, we think it's fair to say, look, we're going to spend $1 million making content. We need some support to pay for that content, so join in if you want to play it.
Okay.
Nice. Cool. So, Drew, got any questions here?
No, not yet. Just more wondering about the safety of new players that's just been covered, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm just curious, Drew, where you sit on that line. Are you? Would you be worried about Fear over there ganking you, or are you hoping to gank a few other newbies?
Fear about getting ganked, really.
Yeah, and so I'm just curious too, because it's important. Did the way I describe it sound reasonable? In that, to make sure that as a beginner, we'll do whatever we need to do to protect beginners. I think that if we don't protect beginners, as much fun as it might be to prey on beginners, it works against the community overall, because if beginners can't stay in the game, and this is what I learned in UO, and in fact I'll tell you that thief story. One of my favorite stories about early UO was this thief story. But if you don't protect the beginners, they won't keep coming back. And if they don't keep coming back, that means they're not buying the game. And if they're not buying the game collapses. And so you have to protect the beginning players. It's essential to make sure that they get to a point of feeling competent before people like Fear stand on the edge of town and say, come on, just take one more step, really. One more step. No, you're still safe right where you are. One more step. Because at that point, you know in the back of your mind, you're going like, should I trust him or should I not trust him? And even though he's admitting you shouldn't. But the point is, as long as you know that risk is there, it's now sort of a fun risk. No matter whether it turns out good or if it turns out badly, it just wasn't random. and which is why I also like that bank example. Once you sort of know that bringing the gold back is dangerous, I'm not going to leave the hole in the game. I hope that you can put a teleporter in the entrance of the bank and teleport people out the woods and gank them. That's not our intention. But the point is, the people are going to be very inventive about the ways that they seduce people into danger on their own. We just want to make sure we put the right level of tools in there to make sure that people who want safety feel like there is at least a foundation as a beginner and as a role player that nobody's going to just pop off and kill you when I've really just been stacking my dominoes and chips and things the way I like them, and it's just no fun to have your stuff spoiled. So we're not going to let people despoil your home, but we are going to tell you why it might be interesting to go out in the woods, and we'll tell you fears over there, by the way, so be careful.
I'm excited.
Yeah, so am I. I actually, if I can tell you something that's kind of an interesting change. When I played UO, I was very, very timid of getting killed, and then I got into this game called The War Z, and it was a zombie survival game, and it left me with the feeling, kind of like if you're watching whatever that zombie movie is. Or that zombie show, The Walking Dead. They sometimes just shoot people on sight just because they're possibly a risk. They don't really know. And so I started taking that tactic, and I found that I lived a hell of a lot longer when I did that. And now I'm a killing fool going around killing everybody, seeking them out and everything. And
evil.
Yeah, I know.
He's evil.
I know, but I say to myself, God, this is fun, but damn, I feel guilty.
Oh, Marky.
I could just see that's exactly what you don't want in Shroud of the Avatar, or you do want it, but more consensual.
Well, I actually don't. Again, I don't think any of those things are bad. I think that those stories I think are all good. The only time you want those sort of emergent behaviors, you want a lot of these stories of fear and death. But what you want to make sure happens is, one, that people who know that people who either A, are just not familiar and therefore they just are inexperienced, so it's not fair to bring on the inexperienced. And we want there to be room in this game for the people who don't want to be PK, period. Versus have them not be a part of this game. I think it's better to carve them out of safety zone. I think that's just always better. That being said, after that, you really want as many of the the discussion and display and debate and the cleverness of whether you're trying to engineer safety or whether you're trying to engineer danger. You sort of want a lot of the stories to kind of come out as they are. I mean, I've never heard that. I've never heard anybody tell me that story. I mean, all the UO stories I've ever heard, and I've heard tons, of course, I've never heard the story of somebody said, I was actually reluctant to get involved in PK at all. But after a while, I realized if I don't shoot first, someone's going to shoot me, and so I've become one of the worst fiends. I think it's hilarious. Never even crossed my mind. But
I'm afraid I'm going to be red in Shroud of the Avatar.
But yes, but exactly how and I have to bite my tongue here periodically. But Tracy and I are working on a story that I think is going to be very pleasing about how if you choose to be red, I'll use your terms, be red. What I'll call there I use that phrase again. What I'll call the cost-benefit analysis will be very interesting, shall we say? That's one of the things I'm most excited about.
Yeah, it'll really conflict with my being a merchant, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'll buy stuff from you, bro.
Yeah, outside of town with little safety. So I see that Scott is raising his hand. What's on your mind, Scott?
I thought, can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
I thought it would be an interesting to note that PKers usually cross a line into serial killers. And really that's what you're talking about with a lot of these guys. And I think just like there's consequences for being a serial killer in real life, I think you could have PvP and have consequences in the game for being a serial killer in the game, becoming an outcast, being forced out into the outskirts, being captured and put into a dungeon.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But let me add one thing on top of that. Even, as you guys know, Ultima's pre-UO were largely story-based, story-driven. Your life was driven by a story. But UO really had hardly any story, really. It was all emergent behavior. And by the way, those emergent stories were phenomenal. So I'm not knocking those phenomenal emergent stories. But imagine if we can tell a story in a multiplayer setting, and that part I was already confident I could do even without Tracy. But what if we could tell a much more personal story? If you look at Ultimas 1 through 9, everyone got basically the same story. Even if you initially selected, I'm really into truth or love or courage, eventually you learned them all, and eventually you picked up them all, and everybody had, by the time you ended, you'd done all the parts and pieces, largely the same as everybody else that played. But what if we create a game that really finds out more about you, and whether you're fearful over there with Mr. Fear, or whether you're friendly, like Drew might prefer he be thought of. And by getting to know you personally, it then customizes a journey to help you become the best you could become.
Oh my God, is this like self-improvement?
Oh no. More therapy.
Therapy is the game,
but the point is that as opposed to just making it random, as opposed to just making it, okay, you're red and you're just outside the rules and now life is difficult. Sure, we could do that. Sure, we probably will do that, something like that. I actually agree that's a good baseline. But I think we can go even better. I think we can actually say that our intention is to observe you very closely, to test you, to really go, okay, well, why, if you're Fear, why is it you like that? How do you feel about that? Can you really rationalize that? And if you can rationalize it, okay, let's help you rationalize it. And let's build your game experience around how you have said that I want to behave, and how where my righteous indignation comes for me in this circumstance.
I was married
good
twice.
to hear. I just did I believe it was Founder while we were talking, so it's good to hear that. And while I don't PvP, I'm actually the guy trying to start the farmers union.
Oh yeah.
I do enjoy PvP in these games, and I like the idea that there is a role for someone that wants to play that role. And the thing I think that a lot of games do wrong with that, and where it gets out of hand, is as we're talking about, serial killers are allowed to roam freely, which is just not really realistic in the sense of even a role-play world. So it's good to hear some of these things that you're saying.
Yes, and again, I'm trying not to spill too many beans, but I agree with you that a successful serial killer is not a highly visible serial killer, and I'll leave it at that.
He hides the bodies in the refrigerator. So,
That
was funny. Okay, so we haven't got too much time left in our show here, but I've seen a few other raised hands here. Scott, what's on your mind?
Is that me?
I don't know. Is that who's? Oh yeah, that was you
I just
again.
went. So
Okay. So
I got a question. Another question, PvP related. I think Scott was just saying how there might be some kind of penalty for going around and killing everyone, and I think that's something Eve does. Because I played it a little bit, and the guys who would kind of prey on everyone, the pirates, they would have a penalty of security rating decrease or increase, whichever way it went. But basically, if they went into a high-sec area and they're known to kill everybody, they would have this security rating, and the high-sec police, which is just like the environmental game mechanic, they would see him in the environment and they would stop him immediately. So that was one way of dealing with it. Now, for me, going around in the wilderness looking for somebody and ganking them, that's not. I mean, I could care less. If it led to a good fight, then great. But my thing is, I want regular battles, and that's what I loved about Warcraft, World of Warcraft. When I jumped into a battle, what I hated about World of Warcraft was leveling from level 40 to 48 just to kind of compete in that battleground again. So there was basically a penalty to kind of go into that next 10 level tier. So the one thing I always wanted was just, look, I just want to jump into a battle. I want to have a lot of good fights, so I get into that one fight where it's neck and neck, we're both beating the crap out of each other, so that I can just kind of get out of it. If I win it, that's what I always felt great about. I still remember some of the fights I had, and they still stick with me when I threw a stick of dynamite on someone just to stun them, give myself a couple seconds, and then win the fight. That's what I always loved about it.
Yeah, that's fascinating. By the way, thank you very much for that very well architected description of the feelings of the good and bad aspects of various PvPs. Here's excuse me. Here's something I think we're doing that I think that might work well for that. One is we're trying to get out of the concept of level grind for power, and we're assuming that your time in the game gives you diversity, but not that much multiples of scale. And the rough ballpark that I would throw out there is a 10 level 1 player should be able to take on a 1 level 10 player as a hypothetical. It shouldn't be more steep than that. And so if you're level 10 and somebody else is level 15, that's actually pretty close to where somebody's actual skill as a player should come out. But more importantly, if you look at the level grind games that are spreadsheet management games, those are really games where my level really matters, because my level determines what tools I have and basically how much damage over time I can do, because there's restrictions to not only does create my attributes, but they create the restrictions of what gear I can have with me. And so literally someone who's level 45 compared to somebody levels 40, that's a huge actual, real, practical difference. What we're going to try to do is set up a game where you get, sure, level 1 to level 10 tends to definitely start at level 1. And in an absolute term, it is better to be level 10 than be level 1 by a good margin. However, we're on top of that going to say, what's really going to make the difference in battle, whether you're fighting the environment or whether you're fighting other players, is how you prepare for battle. And that's where we're taking some learning from the card deck mechanic games. Not that we're doing cards and not that there's turn-based, because it's all real time, but there's some learning we're trying to bring forward from deck builder games. And what I mean by that is that if I have learned some magic and I have learned some swordplay and maybe even learned to shoot a crossbow, I can now, before I go into the battle, say which of those skills would I like to think of while I'm in the heat of battle. And metaphorically, the way I describe that is, if you're a U.S. soldier, you train in the desert, you train in the swamp, you train in the forest, you train in urban environments. But before you go invade Afghanistan, you go out in the desert and you practice desert maneuvers. And you practice the desert maneuvers because you hope that you'll think of dig myself into a hole in the sand as opposed to lie in a puddle and drink through a straw. And because it won't do you much good if what you think of when you're in the middle of the desert is lie in the hole and lie in the pond and drink through a straw. And so we're going to put it in the hands of players to say, look, before you go into combat, which of your special powers do you hope you will think of during the heat of battle? And you can put as many or as few and whatever mix of those you want to in whatever, how we put it, a bag of runes or check marked on your skill trees, or we don't know. I don't know what the physical metaphor is yet. But by building out this is how I'm going to combat. Now when you wade into combat, sure, you'll have a few flasks of oil and things you can just use immediately because you got them right here handy. But whether you think of my finishing blow at the time that the guy happens to be at 1/4 hit points, which might be the time a finishing blow becomes relevant, will depend on how much I've drilled that, how much I've prepared that just in advance of combat. And so I actually think we're trying to create, it's my skill as a player is what's going to allow me to win. It's not my level.
Cool.
Dead silence.
One other question is there going to be any spectator aspect to it? StarCraft 2, as well as League of Legends, they have a very big spectator component. A lot of people are becoming pro athletes or gaming athletes. for lack of a better word. Are you gonna try to put anything like that into the game?
That's actually an excellent suggestion. I don't think I've ever heard a single team member mention it yet, so it's not currently on the list. I don't think it's been discussed. But of course, I recognize the truth of it when you say it, because a lot of us play League of Legends, and I agree that it has that power, both of letting you watch the really good players and going to learn from them, and it's fun. A lot of the spectator modes are fun, and they're not that hard to do. So it's not on the current list, but it should be something we could squeeze in if people like it. And by the way, it sounds to me, just thinking about it when you said it, it sounds like it'd be a good idea.
Yeah, actually, that brings to mind that in some of the games that I've done since I've been doing Let's Plays and kind of storytelling on on YouTube and everything through some of these games, I thought of that it would be very good to have some sort of spectator mode or something like that would assist me in actually telling a story better, just through the way I present my point of view, my view in the game or whatnot.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. That same. I'm sorry, I'm sort of repeating what you said, but yes, having a camera mode, a cinematographer mode, I think would also be really good. It would give you diversity to that tool to use it both for learning and teaching and things of that nature.
And actually, I think that your whole idea of the stage and the plays and everything, that if someone were allowed to go into a camera mode or something like that, and they could actually float in the room and zoom in on people and not get in the way of the audience.
And I don't think there's
might be excellent.
Yeah, and I agree. Now, there should be no technical problem with it at all. It's I'm sure we wouldn't want the camera to go way up in the clouds and go up near the sun and the clouds to see over the edges of the mountain ranges. But there's definitely nothing wrong with free flying it around within a modest range of your character.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that's about all the time we've got tonight. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. And this was just kind of our trial run. I think that we're going to have more of these in the future. And I really like the aspect of this, that we figured out how to do these, present them online, the Hangouts online. We're broadcasting on Twitch. It'll be on our YouTube channel as well, and allow the public in, because I only invited one person and the rest of you showed up.
That's pretty awesome.
So I think it worked out pretty good, and I think we're going to end up doing it again. Special thanks to you, Richard, for showing up.
My pleasure, and always let us know if you have topics that you're going to do for the night. Be sure to let us know, because we'll make sure if I can't show up, we'll get the person who knows that topic best to try to come up as well.
Well, I will keep in touch on that, and I will give you guys one huge compliment. And that out of all the game companies I've been working with for all these years, I mean, I got my start in UO, but out of all the other game companies I've worked with up to this point in time, actually communication with the game publisher, you guys rock it. So bounds beyond any of the others, and so we can. It's almost like you guys care.
Go figure.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So okay, keep up the good work, and thank you, everybody, and have a good evening.
Thanks. Good night.